Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The minute there is some movement, there is some release of dust and my throat goes off. Okay. So, in this chapter, in this camp, we are doing chapter 12 of the Gita. And chapter 12 means 11 chapters have already been taught. And this is the 12th chapter, right? So there is a question that Arjuna asks, and the rest of the chapter is answer to Arjuna's question. So before we study, we have to first understand clearly what is Arjuna's question. Only when his question is clear, the answer will be clear. So let's first chant, and then what I will do is, I will explain to you what has gone on till 11th chapter, and I will leave it to you to figure out what is the question that Arjuna is asking, and see whether you can figure out what he is asking. Okay? Arjuna uvacha evam satata yuktaye bhaktasvam paryupasate ye chapyaksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. So, if you look at the translation, what he is asking is evam satata yuktaye bhakta tvam paryupasate. So, on one hand, he says, people who upasate means they worship you as bhaktas. And ye chapyaksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. And then those who contemplate you as avyakta, and what is this avyakta? The final cause, which is without any attributes, which is just limitless existence. And of the two, tesham ke yoga vittamaha. Who is better, or who will get there faster? So now, in order to understand this question, we have to see what Krishna has taught so far. And then we'll figure out what this question is, and then the answer will make sense. Okay. So unfortunately, people think that this chapter is all about bhakti, but Lord Krishna gives a very different meaning to what bhakti is. So we think bhakti is going to the temple, doing bhajans, kind of doing some chant, but that's not how he defines bhakti at all. So we will see how he defines bhakti. And so it's a beautiful chapter. This chapter, if you really follow the chapter, it triggers self-transformation. And that transformation paves the way for the final knowledge. It's a very important chapter. So we'll see how important it is, but before that we'll try to understand the question. So, chapter 1 of the Gita starts with Arjuna's predicament. And his predicament has two parts. One is, I'm confused what I should do in this situation. Because first I have a problem that, these people against whom I have to fight, They are loved by me. They are my teachers, they are my gurus, they are my grandfathers, and after all, even the others are my cousins, my relatives. So that creates a problem. But his whole thinking doesn't stop there. Then he has a second issue, and the second issue is not only I have to kill my relatives and people who I love, but there is going to be mass destruction if we were to win the war. So many other people are also going to be killed, right? So that means it's just beyond my loved ones, the general harm that it is going to cause to many people. His third contention was that suppose we win the war and we emerge victorious, what kind of kingdom we will inherit where all the men have died and there are only widows and orphans or single parent children, and it's a dysfunctional society. So even if I'm ruling the kingdom, for it to come back to any normalcy will take generations. So will it really make me happy to rule a kingdom where there is so much turmoil and so much trauma which has taken place? That was his third question. And the fourth thing that came to his mind was, if I'm causing so much pain and disharmony, what would be the consequences for me? So this is the place from where he was operating, and he told Lord Krishna that I am dharma samudha chetaha. What does it mean? Chetaha means the mind, and my mind is, this is how I think, that this is not an appropriate action. But I'm not sure. So you tell me what is the right way to look at the situation, what is the right way to act, or what is the right action which is called for in this situation. So what does it mean? His first predicament was about dharma and what to do. What was the right action? And the second thing was a little bit more fundamental. His mind went beyond a given situation and his confusion about what was the right response to this situation. He was thinking about fulfillment in life, because he says, I'm a prince, and for a prince, the highest that one could hope for is, having a prosperous kingdom to rule and, being in power and all. But now that has lost attraction for me, especially under these circumstances. So what meaning can I give to my life? What would give me fulfillment? Something which is, an ambition for most of the Kshatriyas, that seems unattractive to me. So now, then he comes to meaning and searching for fulfillment beyond what to do in this situation. Do you understand the two kind of predicaments? Search for freedom and fulfillment. So, this is the first chapter. In chapter 2, Lord Krishna starts teaching, and he first addresses this meaning and search for freedom. And he talks about from the 11th verse, chapter 2, the teaching begins. And the first verse is, Ashochanam vashochastvam prajnavatamscha bhashase gata suna gata sunscha na anushochanti pandita. So he declares, he starts with a big declaration. Panditaha na anushochanti. What does it mean? The wise people don't grieve. And then he talks about who are these wise people, right? He is not about the wise people don't grieve. Doesn't mean that you try to dismiss your grief and you are in denial of your grief, or you act robotic and suppress your feelings to become a wise person. He is not talking about a wise person who is not connected to emotions. He is talking about a wise person who sees the world differently. And in light of this understanding, the sorrow has naturally receded for this person. So, he talks about the wise person and he talks about nature of Atma. That we will see in the morning class. Nature of Atma, which is Ajaha, unborn. Nityaha, not subject to time. Shashvataha, without any attributes. Ever pure. Purana, ever new, doesn't decline. Not subject to decline. So this is what here, nature of Atma, in other words, is said to be this Satyam Jnanam Anandam. So this is what he shows him. And then in the second chapter itself, he says, even though this is your reality, which you need to know by removing the ignorance of, who your true nature is, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not like the first time you hear or the second time that you hear, you own up this reality. And because your mind has lived with a certain confusion about reality, about who you are, what is the nature of the universe, what is the nature of the cause of the universe, for a very long time. So to undo this confusion takes its own time. So in the meantime, he talks about life of Karma Yoga, which prepares you for knowledge. So in itself doesn't give you this knowledge, but it prepares the mind. It removes angularities or coloring, which is what we call raga dvesha. And it begins to operate more from what is rather than from your own imputations on things and coloring of things and superimposition and inaccurate assessment of things or emotional loads. So that means you need to clear all this. If the mind is turmoil and it is living from a completely different story, this reality doesn't sit. If you're telling yourself, oh, I can't do this right, I can't speak in the class, oh, I can't, others are smarter than me. If this is your story, then in the class you are told, Atma is Satyam Jnanam Anantam, Brahma is limitless. If you are telling yourself, I'm small, how will this reality sit? You need to clear the previous reality a little bit, and your mind has to be relatively objective and clear in order for such a big knowledge to stay with you. So Karma Yoga becomes a means for preparing yourself for knowledge. Now, in chapter 3, Lord Krishna little bit further elaborates on Karma Yoga and talks about the whole universe as an interconnected universe, as a yajna, which is initiated by Ishvara, where everybody has to participate and everybody gives, and according to what they give, they receive. So that means there is this interconnectedness, there is interdependence. So that idea, so what you do and the choices that you make not only have implications for you, but they also have implications for others around you. And therefore, how important it is to live not from this vision of me versus the world, where I somehow try to get things my way, and who cares what happens to others, because, this is a ninja. This person is a fighter who's only trying to maximize one's own gain and has very little consideration for the choices that one makes, what kind of impact it will have on the world. So that means that the results which come to you are directly in proportion to how much disturbance you created in the world through those choices. So when you go with your raga dvesha, it may seem something, oh yeah, I feel like doing it, so why shouldn't I do it? But when the results come, then you're a little surprised, because not only you are a little disturbed, but it creates dysfunctionality among so many people who are around you, right? So this interconnectedness and this part is what we call Swadharma. Because you have a place in the universe and you are playing different roles, and there is a certain script to every role, and whether you are playing that role appropriately or you are deviating because of your own pressures. And so one is Samanya Dharma, the universal values which apply to every individual. The other is Swadharma. Depending upon the situation that you are in, you occupy a unique place in the universe, and there are roles that you have to play, and there is a script which is what is to be done, and one needs to become aware of that. This is chapter 3. What is chapter 4? In chapter 4, Lord Krishna explains that he is an avatara. He doesn't present himself as just a normal person who is a wise person who was born ignorant and somehow got to know the knowledge. He introduces himself as avatara, and he says that his mission on this earth is twofold. One is yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthana adharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So he first talks about he has come to establish dharma, that is the first, and the second is over a period of time the knowledge has deteriorated. The very teaching, people have added their own inaccuracies, their own erroneous thinking, and the teaching itself has degenerated, and he has come to bring back the right teaching. So this is why he's what? If the teaching is derailed because somebody has not understood, then, but what he does is, he says, if there is somebody who understands the teaching exactly as I am communicating, that person is equal to me. This is big. It's not like, he's born with this teaching, but everybody is given the potential to first not only learn what is dharma and follow it, but to know the truth. And if you know the truth, he says, that person is equal to me in terms of knowledge. So that means in this chapter, he says, Jnane tu atma eva evata. The wise person knows exactly the same reality as I do. So therefore, this distinction is gone once and for all. Because the truth, once you understand the truth, then you and anybody else who understands the truth are equal. Right? So this is what he talks about. That's where we don't only look up to Lord Krishna as avatara or a hero. We learn from him so we can become one with him. This is the pursuit. One with the truth. Right? Now, chapter 5, he talks about Arjuna thinks that if knowledge occupies such an important place that you know the truth and of your being this reality, then that is the one which makes you one with Ishvara. Then he says, why can't I take sannyasa? Because that allows me to concentrate on this knowledge which will give me final moksha. So, as a lifestyle, why can't I choose sannyasa, which seems to be a little fast track? It will get me here and I have to do so many things, and that is a slow way. So he talks about sannyasa as a lifestyle versus karma yoga as a lifestyle. And he validates both, but he says this is safer. Why is karma yoga safer? Because prematurely, if you give things up, they are still with you and they will keep surfacing. And this is the order of Ishvara. Whatever you have not dealt with will keep coming to you and become an irritant until you acknowledge, you face, and you overcome. So that means, he says, Sannyasastu mahabaho dukkham aptum ayogataha. So what does it mean? Premature sannyasa may seem like I'll get there faster, but it will actually bring, if you try to skip your growth, if you try to become, bypass this whole maturity, it will keep coming back to you. So it's not a good idea. That's what he says. And in chapter 6, he talks about the practice of dhyana. He talks about meditation and the importance of meditation in this whole pursuit of knowledge. So karma yoga is about changing the attitude behind action. Knowledge is listening to the classes, removing doubts, contemplating on the truth. What role does meditation have in this whole process? What does meditation do? So he talks about meditation as something, here karma yoga, you can have an attitude of karma yoga from the day that you study Gita. You understand this is the reality I need to understand. I need to prepare my mind. I need to follow dharma. When results come, I have to take it as kind of, coming from the infallible laws of Ishvara. All this you can now understand and change the attitude and the way of action. But what about all the past loads, which are all with you? The childhood issues, so many things are with us, which govern us in so many different ways that we don't even realize. So meditation in our tradition is explained as Saguna Brahma Vishaya Manasa Vyapara. Manasa Vyapara is mental activity. What is the subject matter of this mental activity? It's not keeping silence. It's not about no thought. It is about bringing Ishvara in your life. And bringing Ishvara in your life means releasing your psyche from past hurts, past pain. That is healing. That healing is very, very much required, because karma yoga is from the time that you become a mumukshu, but everything that is stored and it is guiding you is not going to magically go away. So it's that healing that he talks about. So these are the first 6 chapters of the Gita, and here the subject matter, the general subject matter, is what we call Tvampada. What is Tvampada? You, the individual. What is your nature? How you can continue to live and do all the activities with the change of attitude. What you can find your place in the grand scheme of things and do what needs to be done. You can become one with Ishvara through the knowledge. Sannyasa is a lifestyle, but Karma Yoga is safer, and healing through meditation is required. It's all about the individual. From 7th chapter onwards, the whole subject matter of the Gita changes and it turns to Tatpada. Tatpada Vichara. And what is this Tatpada Vichara? Lord Krishna talks about what is the cause of the universe. And he talks about the cause of the universe as something which pervades everything. So he gives an example. Maya tatam idam sarvam avyakta murtina. So, he gives an analogy of a thread and many beads. So what does it mean? Beads are many different beads, and a thread is not something which is visible, but it puts all the beads together. So that means if you really look at Ishvara as an invisible thread and all the objects of the universe as beads, where is the thread with reference to beads?
Where the bead is.
Sorry?
It's where the bead is.
Yeah, exactly. So what it means is, it is where the bead is. Its thread is not somewhere else. So what it means is, he shows himself as not an entity away from everything, in and through every form. Now, Sutre Manigana Iva. Maya tatam idam sarvam Sutre Manigana Iva. So what does it mean? An entity in and through the forms. But the second thing is, in the example, the thread is different from the beads. So in the next verse, he says, Rasohamam Sukamteya. So what does he say? Not only am the thread which puts together the beads themselves are what? The forms themselves are arranged by me. The knowledge and power arranges the forms and makes the interaction between forms possible through series of laws. So everything, both the forms and the laws and the entire manifestation is me. So he explains himself as pervading everything. So this is chapter 7. Chapter 8. When you say everything, what is the meaning of everything? When we say everything, we generally mean only physical forms. In the 8th chapter, he extends the meaning of everything to not only physical forms, subtle forms, and also all the potential. So when we say Ishvara is everything, we don't just mean physical forms. It includes physical, subtle, and all the potential, which is yet to come. What it means is, tomorrow is yet to come. We don't see the causes. Does it mean that the causes are not in potential? Already things are in offering. Things are cooking. Things are coming together. The probability of what is going to happen tomorrow is pretty high already because the causes have come together. But from our standpoint, it's still a suspense. We don't know what is going to come. But from the standpoint of the order, it's all coming, right? It is about to manifest. So that is the meaning of potential. And subtle is, you can see my eyes, which is physical, but you can't see my sight, which is subtle. I can, when a surgeon opens your brain, he can see your neurons and chemical connections and all wiring and everything, but he cannot see your thoughts. It's subtle. So when everything, the meaning of everything is physical, subtle and potential. In chapter 9, he talks about this whole thing. If Ishvara is everything, there is a problem. What is a logical problem? So in this universe, you see not only good, we are used to associating everything good with Ishvara. But when you see the universe, you see so many problems. So now, if Ishvara is everything, the murderer is also Ishvara, the rapist is Ishvara, the wars are all, everything has to be, everything means everything. So how do you reconcile and how do you say Ishvara is everywhere and then still make it a benign entity and not something which is, when you see all these problematic things in this universe. So how do you reconcile? So what the way Lord Krishna explains Ishvara is, what is the job of the knowledge and power? To give you the brain and create possibilities and potentials. But how you collapse it is something which is dependent upon your free will. So depending upon the way you collapse it, there is a law which gives you corresponding result. So can you say Ishvara is the one who is not going with dharma? No. Ishvara is the order which is dharma and karma. It is the individual who is whether that person is following dharma or not. Right? So here he says, I pervade everything, but I am in form of possibilities and potentials. And depending upon how you collapse those possibilities and potentials, there is an appropriate result given to you. I don't get involved in anything. And this is why it pervades everything and at the same time is free from everything. In chapter 10, Arjuna is saying, oh my God, you are telling me that you are everywhere, but when I live life, I'm not used to seeing divinity everywhere. We don't have, so I teach Bhagavad Gita in my online classes, and we are on 10th chapter, Vibhuti Yoga. And I gave them, because it's 1.5 month break, so I gave a homework. And what is the homework for this 1.5 months? That now practice seeing the presence of Ishvara in everything, in all your daily activities. And Sita Devi said, this is the toughest homework. I remember. Why? Because the minute somebody irritates you, right, what happens is your mind is back to your own natural way of being. So this chapter 10 is actually consciously in things which are very mundane, which seem like a very normal things, to begin to see the presence. How many times you have seen mountains? How many times you have seen rivers? How many times you have seen butterflies and birds and whatever? But very often, do we see the presence of divinity there? We don't, right? At the most, we can say, oh, I love the nature. But we don't see the presence of divinity there. So what Lord Krishna says is, wherever there is any glory, wherever there is anything which is exceptional, recognize it's an outcome of my order. The knowledge and power which manifests that given object, which makes it special and makes it stand out. This is the training of the mind to begin to relate to the world as not a world which is random source of suffering, which is giving you a hard time, but as a place where actually there is only one thing, which is this knowledge and power. which is manifesting the forms and creating the laws to govern the interactions. There is no second entity. And that's when you develop trust. This is where you develop reverence, you develop awe, you develop wonder. And what begins to go is your dissatisfaction, complaint, feeling low. That's where the transformation takes place. In and through everything to see the presence of divinity. This is 10th chapter. Chapter 11. Arjuna is not happy just with verbal description of seeing the glories of Ishvara everywhere. He wants a visual. And what is a visual? He says, you show me within you the entire universe is contained. And Lord Krishna gives him a special vision, Vishwarupa. And initially, Arjuna is fascinated looking at Ishvara and every form. But over a period of time, he gets scared. Why does he get scared? Because it's all little fast forward. So what does it mean? Everybody is entering the mouth of death very quickly. Everybody is being swallowed, and this is so scary for him. So he tells Lord Krishna, you come back. You come back to your normal rupa, which is a very pleasing. This is too overwhelming for me. Right? You see, within one cosmic entity, all these activities which are taking place. So then, now this is 11th chapter, and then Lord Krishna ends 11th chapter by saying that the visual that you got is very unusual. Hardly, in fact, nobody has got to see my rupa like this. But still it created fear in him. He himself requested Lord Krishna to come back to the normal form. He couldn't take it. Then he says, but with knowledge, you can get total of me. You can understand you and me are one. So he praises knowledge. So the 11th chapter ends with praising. Lord Krishna says, the visual didn't do much, it only brought fear. But through knowledge, you can get hold of me. Chapter 12. Now, you guys, based on this, you have to tell me, what is Arjuna asking? What is he asking? Evam satata yuktare bhaktasvam parupasate echa paksharam abhyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. What is he asking? Any idea? What is he asking? Yeah. How do I? Yes. Okay. Good. So, but what is his question? Tesham, of the two. Who is better? Who are these two people? Who are the two people?
The ones who know that knowledge is going to give them
See, we need to have the recording, that's why we have this. Otherwise, nothing will be.
What is he asking?
of the two.
Which two?
One is those who know that knowledge is the way to that truth.
Is it the two types of bhakti? Those who want to know
That knowledge itself, and the other is the people who are doing bhakti in a way that is just the physical way of doing it.
Look, Arjuna is listening. Look, this is why I am telling such a big story. What I am asking is not unconnected to what I just explained.
It's a question, not the answer.
It's a question based on what Lord Krishna has taught so far. What does he want? He wants knowledge. That is very clear to him. Right? So, what is he asking is, I want knowledge. But from your first 6 chapters, I understand that I have to understand myself to be Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam Brahma, which is Avyakta. You understand? So I have to listen to Shastra, I have to contemplate on what is my true nature. Right? And that's what gives me the final knowledge. So what does it mean? Some people, when they want to know the truth, what do? Avyakta Parupasate. What is Avyakta Parupasate?
The unmanifest is being worshipped.
The unmanifest means? No, it is now talking about the unmanifest means the attribute-free reality, which is Brahman, which is my nature. Now, in the Bhagavad Gita itself, to Arjuna, who was seeking knowledge, Lord Krishna, from 7th chapter onwards, he is talking about Ishvara. To the same person, he is not talking about some other person who are doing bhakti. He is talking about himself. But here, when you hear about Ishvara in this way, Ishvara is the one from which all the forms have manifested, from which all the laws are, and everything happens within Ishvara's law. Here, who are you with reference to this Ishvara? You're an individual who is bringing this awe, bringing and appreciating the presence of Ishvara. You're transforming yourself. Do you understand? Seeing everywhere Ishvara's Vibhuti. It is an individual relating to Ishvara. Here, what are you doing? I am that final truth. Do you understand the question? So, you want knowledge. It's not for some other bhaktas. This is not his question. For those, especially me, I want to get to the truth. For getting to this truth, do I contemplate on Brahman, which is my true nature? Or I, as an individual, I enter into relationship with the total and transform myself. Of the two, both are pursuing knowledge. Both want the truth, which is better and which is faster. You understand the question? He is not talking about some normal bhakta. We are not talking, don't make Bhagavad Gita overly simple. It's sophisticated. His questions are smart. Because he is listening and now he is confused as to what will get me to the truth the fastest, whether I contemplate on this final truth or I become, retain my individuality and enter into relationship with the cause of the universe and I begin to transform myself. This is, in modern language, a lot of people ask me this question, and this is a very common question. If I and Ishvara have the same truth, why I need bhakti? Because bhakti presupposes an individual connecting to the total. So it seems as though it's an impediment to understanding that you and Ishvara are one. This question has a little bit of that flavor. He's not asking exactly like that, but he says, me as an individual relating to Ishvara seems like I'm reinforcing my individuality. In the case of the other, I'm not reinforcing my individuality. I'm understanding I am the final truth, which is my truth, is Ishvara's truth. So what will get me there faster? You understand? This is the question. What would Lord Krishna say? What does Lord Krishna say? You will see the answer. What do you think? What would Lord Krishna say? First of all, did you all understand the question?
Yeah.
Because the rest of the chapter is an answer to this question. So most of the time, people don't understand the question. And they think bhakti, he's talking about some bhaktas with, he's not talking about some bhaktas. Based on this, he's talking about an individual. Here, when from 7 to 11 chapter, when you relate to Ishvara, you are not relating to Ishvara as Satyam, Jnana, Vedanta, Brahma. You are relating to Ishvara as an individual. Now, if nobody is looking at me, nobody dares to answer whether they understood the question or not. Everybody is looking down. Did you understand the question? Okay, you rephrase it so that I know that you understood the question. You tell me what you understood.
I would say study responsibility. I would say the question is that Arjuna asked, is it faster if I contemplate on my true nature, which is the same Swarupa than yours, or should I do something which is bhakti to go like this? What is the better?
Okay, good. Anybody else? No. Nobody else wants to try? Okay, but good, Martina. Okay? Huh?
No, that's
So, Billy, you want to try?
so is it which is better of the two? This is
Of the two, which is better? To, as an individual, relate to Ishvara, which is what you see everywhere, and worshipful of all that is here. And I am an individual, and Ishvara is the Lord who I worship. So I am a devotee. Is that faster, or do I contemplate on my true nature, which is the nature of the self and Brahman?
My true nature, which is Brahman, which also happens to be
Nature
Ishvara's
of-
true nature.
So equating on.
Yeah. So this is his question. Do I concentrate here or do I here? Yeah, yeah.
A bit of the same question, like, could you take the mic? Is it better to have the lifestyle of sannyas or to karma yoga?
But lifestyle of karma yoga, you can still look upon, see here it's a mental process. Even as a sannyasi, do you see the presence of Ishvara everywhere as an individual, or do you contemplate more on, my true nature? Even a sannyasi, it's a mental process. You see what I mean?
But this dichotomy, which Arjuna asks, I mean, better to leave everything.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle question. Here it is the mental process. Do you understand? There it's a lifestyle. What do I choose? Karma yoga or sannyasa? Karma yoga is continue on the activities. Sannyasa, I give up all the roles and only concentrate on knowledge. But even suppose you are concentrating on knowledge, this is slightly different. I'm concentrating on knowledge, but one part of the knowledge is me, the individual, relating to Ishvara and healing myself. The other part of knowledge is understanding my truth, which is same as Ishvara's truth, right? So, which, if I want to get to the truth, where it seems as though bhakti kind of is an impediment to, because ultimately, this is why I said, a lot of people ask this question. If ultimately I have to understand, I and Ishvara are one, bhakti is a problem. Why is it? Because bhakti means I am an individual and I am relating to the total. It will keep me as an individual. It will reinforce my individuality. It will not allow me to graduate to the final equation, which is where I have to see myself as one with Ishvara. You understand? Or sometimes people ask the question differently. If all that is here is one, who am I praying to? Do you understand? People have these issues. So this question is a very intelligent question. It's not a simple question. Right? Now, let's look at Lord Krishna's answer. Here he says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Veshamano Ye Mam Nityayukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayo Petaha Te Me Yukta Tamamataha. So, who wants to read the translation? This is from Swamiji's book. This translation is from this book, no? Yeah. Who wants to read?
Arjuna said, in this matter, there are those devotees who risingly committed meditate upon you, and also there are those who seek you as one who is not subject to decline and not available for imitation. Who among them are the greatest knowers of yoga?
This was the first question. Now the second is Lord Krishna's answer. Sri Bhagavan said, who wants to read the second? Yeah. You want to read?
The translation.
Yeah.
Sri Bhagavan said, endowed with unflinching faith, their minds committed to me, being ever united with me. Those who meditate upon me are considered by me as the most exalted.
So what is Lord Krishna saying? What is his answer?
His answer is
Ishvara. His answer is those who... Right, now look at this. If you start from the first few classes, from maybe not tomorrow, but day after tomorrow, you will start seeing what is your true nature, what is the nature of Atma. And suppose in the nature of Atma that we will see in the morning class, so I will not go into it. But basically it is the truth of everything, suppose, right? Now, how will you live your life from tomorrow? If you keep repeating to yourself, I'm truth of everything, I'm truth of everything, I'm Brahman, Brahman is the final reality, everything else is just a modification. What will you do? The minute you walk out and your child calls you and says, Mama, I really miss you and where have you gone and whatever, then everything is one. How will you relate to the world? This final truth, if you keep repeating, I am Brahman, everything is one, it will render you incapable of relating to the world. So, what Lord Krishna says, you will become cuckoo, off, because neither you have really understood what Brahman is. You are just repeating like a parrot and trying to convince yourself that you are Brahman and then dissociate with this world. Try not to pay too much attention because this is not who you are. And you will be incapable of meeting life challenges. You will be incapable of finding the intelligent ways to navigate your life. You have somehow artificially elevated yourself to some higher thoughts without totally and fully understanding it. It will make you completely dysfunctional as far as not a wise person. A wise person is not a dysfunctional person. A wise person is a mature person. So this is why he says, even if you have to understand Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahman as your final reality, it's a culmination of all the effort that you have put in. Then you understand this reality. Prematurely just repeating and prematurely pretending that you are Brahman is going to be counterproductive. When you bring me in your life, as an individual, you begin to relate to the total. That relationship is transformational. What does it mean? You can't go with your raga dvesha, you have to bring laws of dharma. When results come, you have to bring laws of Ishvara. With your emotional life, you need to understand psychological laws are manifestation of Ishvara. You can't skip it. You have to process it and you have to get over it. Your own self-image has to undergo a change. You can't keep telling yourself, oh my God, I'm incapable of living in this world and the world is all full of suffering and I'm truth of that world. I'm incapable of dealing with the world and the world is full of suffering, but you're the truth. How does that gel? It's all up in the air. It has no foundation of any type. It's all just fluffy ideas which make you feel good. They don't do anything to you. So this is why Lord Krishna says, please first bring myself in what? In your life. Don't be in a hurry to convince yourself I'm Brahman. You are an individual till you understand. It's not a choice. Till you understand the reality, you are an individual. Even if you are trying to convince yourself, I'm Brahman, I'm Brahman, I'm Brahman, Ishvara's vision, you still have ignorance. So you are subject to the same laws that everybody else is. While you are trying to skip, nothing gets skipped. So, until and the knowledge takes place, not only when you make an effort to become mature as a human being, but also expose yourself to Shastra. Really try to understand what is saying. Stay with your ideas. Stay with the clarity. Don't just skip. Don't just, I'm so happy. Julie came to me and she says, this means an end that you were talking about. So I have to stay with that idea and I have to make it sink in. This is very important. Otherwise, everything remains superficial. Nothing is totally assimilated. So everything has a semblance of knowing without really knowing it. Knowledge means clarity. Clarity means depth. Depth means you can't have all these vague ideas and say, oh, I know it. Yeah, look. Darkness is showing you, right? Is showing you that vague ideas, it's all darkness. So this is where he says, don't be in a hurry to get to Brahman. But first, as an individual, enter into relationship with me. And what he says is, these people are exalted. Why are they exalted?
In a way, can you say that if you don't do this, then you are making Brahman an object outside of this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas when you are a devotee who worships what is and relate to what is, there itself is Brahman. Right?
Excellent. Good. Good. Yeah. So what Neeli is saying is absolutely right. That Brahman is not outside the forms. In and through the forms, where the forms are, that's exactly where the knowledge and power is, making those forms what they are. Where knowledge and power is, that's where the truth of that knowledge and power is, which is Satyam Jnana Vedanta. So if you're trying to skip life and say, I'm Brahman somewhere else, you're giving it a location away from the world of forms and you're making it an object within time and space. You're making it limited. So what it means is, limitlessness is not outside the forms. If it was outside, it will become limited. It is in and through the forms, as we will see. Right? It is in and through everything. So that means, first, we see only the world of forms. There are two essential realities which are not available for our perception, and we miss out. So we use the Gita, we use Vedanta to come in touch with those two essential realities. First is Ishvara. You, the individual, connected to Ishvara. And when you do that, then your mind begins to abide in the reality. It's not imagining, it is not superimposing, it's not coloring, it is not operating from your own biases, prejudices. It's a clear mind. And that clear mind ultimately gets to the final truth. So this is why Lord Krishna first praises that those who are committed to me, individual to the total, they are considered to be the most exalted. It seems counterintuitive. It seems as though the people who are contemplating on the reality will get there faster. What is he saying? The person who is an individual and brings me and tries to bring their life in order, that person will be faster. Now, if you emphasize that, what it in effect means that he is discouraging contemplation that I am Brahman. Can he do that? Can he afford to do that? No. So what does he do in the third verse? He brings back that contemplation and he says, contemplation is also required, but only when you are prepared. Can you decide from tomorrow onwards, I want to be contemplative? Can you decide contemplative nature of the mind? Either you have it or you don't have it. So what does it mean? You have to undergo necessary steps where your mind becomes clear, and as a result of this clarity and inner leisure, your mind begins to become contemplative or think about things which are much bigger, right? So in the next verse, he brings back the fact that even those who are, thinking about the final reality, they will also get him, provided they are prepared. So we will look at verse 3 and 4. Ye tvaksharamanirtesham avyaktam paryupasate sarvatra gamachintyancha utastamachalam dhruvam sannayam vendriya gramam sarvatra samabuddhayaha te prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhuta hite rataha. Okay. Now he talks about the others who are contemplating on what? The final truth, which is not subject to decline, which is indefinable and not available for objectification. Right? So, and which does not move, which is eternal. So, what does it mean? They also gain me. They also gain me. Right? That's also, it's not like it's eliminated. They also gain me. But look at the condition. Provided, look at this, they have mastery over their sense organs. And they are here, always equal-minded. So here, what is this? Samachit, Te samabuddhayaha and sarva bhuta hite rataha. So what does it mean? Contemplation will also work provided you have done the first step. And what is the first step? He talks about 3 things which are a precondition. What are the 3 things? One is mastery over sense organs. What is mastery over sense organs? Mastery over sense organs mean that you don't get totally carried away with the pressures that the sense organs create when you are in touch with sense objects. What does it mean? As you interact with the world, right? So the sense organs get carried away with sense objects. Those sense objects can be physical objects or they can be human beings. So how many people we see in their midlife? So it's all Surya's friends from France. I think almost all of them, right? They are in their 50s. Now they have had, they were married and they had children and all. Now they are all bored with their wives. Almost all of them have broken up with their wives and now they are with somebody else. In 50s, the kids are all grown up. What does it mean? Oh, this relationship is very monotonous now. There is no excitement. And I'm looking for a little more excitement. So let's go somewhere else. What does it mean? Sense organs create pressure when it comes in contact with sense objects. And the pressure is so huge. What happens? You're gone. It happens more often than not. This is how, sometimes, the stories that I hear is just sometimes, I've lived a simple life in the sense that at the age of 22, I met Swamiji and I pretty much kind of dedicated my whole life to the studies and my career and whatever. And then I met Surya, who is so sweet and so everything. So I didn't realize it's incredible. A friend of mine, and she tells me, now she has to make a decision. She found out that because, they are all relatively wealthy, their husbands are successful or whatever, right? Now she found out that her husband has had multiple affairs. Now she feels betrayed. She feels let down. She feels, now what does she do? But she is comfortable because she has wealth, she has a certain position in the society. And, these powerful men, they may not give them their share. So there are all these turmoils and trauma. It's incredible how many people have these stories. All these entanglements is just, there is so much suffering. Even if you continue to live with that person, you somehow know that this person is not totally, they don't come and home and tell, they find out. He's not telling you exactly what is going on with them. She was asking me, I don't even know who am I living with. Half the things are not known about this person. All the deep trust, that deep this thing, it's all violated. You feel empty, you don't know what to do. So what does it mean? This is not a textbook thing. When Lord Krishna says that, then you say, yeah, Atma is free. Yeah, Atma is free. But that doesn't mean that you can do what you want. So, certain mastery over sense organs is an absolute precondition. What does it mean? You don't go by the pressures which are created by your sense organs. You do what needs to be done. This is what he says. Contemplation will work provided you have done all this. If you skip all this and you want to contemplate, forget it. There is too much confusion. It's like building a tall building without a foundation. Without a foundation, you can't have a tall edifice. It's not possible. So, this is where he says that is the first condition. Look at this, right? What is the second condition? Samabuddhi. What is samabuddhi? That situations arise and some of them are pleasant, some of them are not so pleasant. Generally, we are emotional yo-yos. And what is this emotional yo-yo? When things happen our way, we are elated. And when things don't happen our way, we are all low and depressed. So, how do you maintain a certain equilibrium when things happen your way and things don't happen your way? Again, like we saw in the morning, that there is some understanding of the presence of the order which is infallible. So that means even if things don't go your way, you don't conclude you are bad or you are a failure or others are bad or the world is unfair. You understand that it's a complex world which puts together a lot of variables. Everything is not under my control. So what I can do is, be lucid as of now and see what I can do, right? What I can do to the best of my ability and not transgress dharma. That is something that you can focus on. That's what makes you samabuddhi. Samabuddhi is somebody who is not so fragile that everything is,
The mighty.
Is this the same theme or another way to do it, that to feel secure, I always stay in my comfort zone, and then I feel calm and not entering some things that I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
It's important to
Challenge.
set boundaries,
Extent.
and actually the way I perceive it, I
Yes.
decide to do things even though it really makes me afraid. And then there are moments when I feel fearful, but it was my decision to not keep in a safe surrounding.
Yeah, I understand. Exactly. To challenge yourself and not to, you have created a kind of a comfort zone, and anything little bit beyond, if you are stretched, you're not comfortable and you keep coming back to your comfort zone. But that keeps you a limited person. So stretching it and stretching it and stretching it, and it's so important, little and little and little, to free yourself from self-imposed barriers that we have created. Because our self-imposed barriers keep us very restricted. And to overcome this slowly, 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 it's very, very important. That's when, so what Swamiji used to say is, a small individual with all the complexes cannot understand I'm the whole. You need expansion. You need to grow. You need to challenge yourself, and you need to stretch yourself, and you have to become big as a human being, because only that person can then hold such a big knowledge. So it's all about, and this is also one of the things that, I was just talking to Julie before the class, that, in classes where there is a monologue, in the sense that the teacher keeps teaching, nobody feels discomfort. Why? Everybody feels totally safe. Why? Because nobody is challenged at all to think, nobody knows who knows what. Teacher only goes on speaking. When the teacher asks you a question and you need to answer or think, if you have complexes, they will loom large. I don't know anything. Oh, this person is talking so well, but I'm not able to articulate. Oh, what if I make a mistake? What if others laugh at me? What if I'm wrong and the teacher thinks I'm dumb? All this surfaces. It becomes uncomfortable. One lady, my students are my friends. They come and tell me all kinds of things. So one lady, she came and she told me, she says, I love your classes because I learn a lot, but I feel terrified. When you ask a question, I feel, oh my God, I'm not able to answer. So every time it's like I'm shaking. So I said, please tell yourself that I'm not asking question to test you or to put you in a box that you understand or you don't understand, you understand. I'm asking questions to deepen your understanding, to make sure that you don't remain at a superficial level. That's my only interest. I don't have an interest in labeling you or putting you in one category. Oh, those who speak are bright, those who don't, they are dumb. I don't have this mind. That's not my purpose. So what it means is, one needs to find comfort within oneself. You are comfortable. Only when you find that comfort within yourself, whether you're talking, you're not talking, both, you have to find comfort. Talking doesn't make you bright. Not talking doesn't make you dumb. I mean, these are all your attributes that you impose on yourself. And you suffer from it. And you begin to have complexes. The teacher's job is only to teach and take your mind to your own truth, which is the limitless. That is teacher's job. There is no other job that the teacher has. So what it means is, we have to parent our mind and free it from all these complexes. This job, if you don't do, if you don't free yourself from the complexes, forget it. How can such a big reality stay with you? So these challenges, that little challenges, it's as Martina said, they are meant for your growth. You have to consciously overcome it. And that's very good, right? It's very good to kind of recognize where your mind is stuck in this smallness. And slowly, it's not that the fear is going to go and then you start speaking. When you have fear, you parent yourself and say, it's okay, even if I give a wrong answer, so what? If I knew everything, I won't be sitting in the class and the teacher will be out of job. So what does it mean? The teacher is sustaining because so many things are not yet clear. There is nothing to be ashamed of. There is nothing that doesn't make you any less. That doesn't. These are all your attributes. All this you need to slowly nurture yourself and free yourself from. It's part of growing up. It's part of maturity. This is why Lord Krishna is saying you can become contemplative if you have taken care of these things. Without taking care of these things, try to be contemplative. You can't. And then you are just flying with some ideas which are all floating up in the air. And what is the third condition? Sarva bhuta hite rataha. This small person, when you look at the world, anybody's is shining, that person becomes object of your jealousy. Why does that person become object of your jealousy? As it is, we struggle with our smallness. Now when we see somebody is shining, we feel more than normal small. That becomes very uncomfortable. Normal smallness we have somehow managed to deal with, but now it is heightened. How do you deal with it? That generally what we do is, that person, we pull that person down. When we pull that person down, now we can feel safe again. Because we come back to our normal smallness, which we have dealt, we know we have somehow learned how to deal with. So what happens is, we create our thought processes, which are all convoluted. What is convoluted? In fact, you think that that person is superior to you and making you feel less. But what is your action? That very person who you think is superior, you're putting that person down and you're criticizing that person. What have you done? You have created a basic, fundamental confusion in your mind. Do you admire or do you don't like? Even that clarity you don't have. Do you admire these qualities or you criticize these qualities? What is your real feeling? You admire. But what is coming out in terms of your behavior? Criticism, confusion, delusion. This is how we delude ourselves. We lose track of reality. Our thinking processes become convoluted. They are not straight. So, who is this person? Sarva bhuta hite rataha. This kind of a, smallness, competition, trying to prove yourself, pulling others down. It's a function of a mind which is totally caught in smallness. So, how do you change that? You begin to see anybody's accomplishments, 10th chapter, as Ishvara's Vidyuti. Somehow that person has worked for it, and nobody just gets goodies falling from heaven, as So what does it mean? The person, whoever is successful, whoever has accomplished anything, they have worked for it. So you admire that. You admire it. You see it as the glory of Ishvara. It's nothing to be threatened of. It can become source of inspiration for you. And you can then work towards what you want, right? This is the change in relationship. Change in relationship with the world is when you see somebody superior, it doesn't invoke further smallness in you. You actually are able to admire and acknowledge that as Vibhuti. This is a healthy mind. It is a mind which is not seeing the world as a threat. Sarva bhuta hite rataha. This is all an outcome of initiatives that you have taken to free yourself from all these complexes that all of us have to different degrees.
So I'm thinking of the words are Ramana. So what you just described, I would say it's an example how the words of Vedanta are Ramana, because it unfolds ideas I would normally not come to by myself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So this is a pramana in the sense that, see, the knowledge is, being imparted, and Arjuna is listening and is asking a question. So as I said, in the second chapter, Lord Krishna talks about ultimately Atma needs to be known. Then he talks about individual entering into relationship with Ishvara, seeing Ishvara's vibhuti everywhere. Then he has a question that if I want to get to the knowledge, what is better? There are some people who contemplate and some people who continue to kind of, be this individual and understand Ishvara's order and transform themselves. Who is faster? So what is Lord Krishna replying? That my bhaktas are very dear to me, those who enter into relationship with me. But he doesn't dismiss contemplative people. He says, yeah, contemplative people will also get me, provided they have taken care of these things. Without taking care of these things, what are the three things that he is talking about? Mastery over sense organs, samabuddhi, certain equanimity, and the third is sarva bhuta hite rataha. That shows that the person has worked on one's maturity. Once you have worked and not skipped, then yes, you can graduate to be this contemplative person, and then you can actually think about the oneness, and that will fructify, and you will gain that final truth. It's not like contemplative people will never get it. That's not what he's saying. But premature contemplation without relative growth as a human being makes the whole pursuit what? Not real, not authentic. So, is this a little bit clear? The nature of reality we will see in the morning class. It'll all be unfolded. But here, so what does it mean? An individual entering into relationship with Ishvara. What kind of Ishvara? Here we are not talking about Ishvara as it is described in chapter 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. Not Ishvara as some entity other than you. Here, Lord Krishna describes Ishvara as what? All-pervasive reality, right? Which is in form of knowledge and power, which manifests as all the different forms and all the laws which govern the form. And which forms not only the physical form, but also the subtle and then all the potential. That's how, right? So me, the individual who is relating to all these forms and bringing Ishvara. What is this Ishvara? Sarvajnaha Sarvashaktiman Ishvara. Knowledge and power which has made me who I am. What does it mean? I can say this is my body, but what is the knowledge which has gone behind creating my eyes? Do I know? Have I sat and created my eyes and my brain and the connection between my eyes and my brain? No. It is the knowledge and power. Where is that knowledge and power? Not somewhere out there. It is making right now my eyes what they are. And they are where my eyes are. It's not somewhere else. They are where my brain is. The knowledge and power is where my brain is. Making my brain what it is. I don't even know how this brain, which is nothing but some electrical connections and chemicals and all neurons, how does it able to think and able to think about the world outside, able to think about I am, able to think about the truth. It's incredible what this mind is capable of doing. Did you sit and create this mind? Fortunately not. And what does it mean? And where is that knowledge which made this mind work? It's not somewhere else. It is where the mind is. Where the form is, this is where it is. Making the form what it is. So what is happening? That individual of form is entering into relationship with this knowledge and power, which has not only made your form what it is, which has made everything what it is. That one level of reality you are bringing when you are dealing with the forms. It changes everything.
I like the wording here, taking delight in the welfare of all beings, which doesn't include only humans, but all beings like animals and plants and like the whole environment. So I really like this delight in all beings.
Yeah, absolutely. Sarva bhuta hite rataha is not restricted to human beings. It is also taking care of the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom, because that knowledge and power is not only where human being is. Every form has its being in this knowledge and power. So what does it mean? It's truly like this thing. Scratch the surface. And what do you find? Knowledge and power. What is at the surface? Different forms. You scratch a little bit. And what do you find? Knowledge and power. It's not given to you as an object. What is given to you to see are the forms. But you need this knowledge to appreciate the all-pervading presence of knowledge and power. And when you bring that, you begin to become a sane, connected human being. Human being who is not lost and not operating randomly through the pressures of raga and klesha, and begin to honor everything and get well. Then contemplation works, and then you get to the final truth. So what does it mean? Lord Krishna says, the individual relating to the total is definitely beloved to me. The contemplative ones also get me, provided they have taken care of this. What it also shows is, for different people, there is a different stage. What does it mean? Once, so there were some people in the previous camp, they were saying that when they first were listening to me, they already had a lot of turmoil and they had things going on in their head. Their minds were preoccupied with events and relationships or whatever. So from the teaching, they only, because their minds were so busy, they could only absorb a little. As a result of this teaching, they were able to clear up a lot. And as they cleared up, what happens? The mind space became freer, and then their absorption became more, and their minds were able to reach much more subtle ideas and not just things which are directly connected to their life. That is the natural expansion of the mind as a result of taking care of all these things which are looming large in your head. As you take care, the mind becomes subtler and it becomes more refined. It's able to reach, these subtle ideas more accurately. So you are right. So this is something where we need to pay attention. So it's 6:45, so I will end and so we have done from 1 to 4. Yeah, and we will do 5 onwards from tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.